listen, we're all here, and people looking at crypto, and they're looking at cannabis, and the conversations are all tending towards money, right? It's a security. I'm going to tokenize it. I'm going to have an exchange. There's going to be, money made and regulation needed, and so the whole conversation is being skewed. And so really what I want to talk about, instead of that fancy title that Rob made me give him, is about how it's not about tokens, it's not about technology, it's about you. Okay? And what's happening now to us in the world as humanity is that we're at a critical place. There's never been a more exciting time to be alive. There's never been change happening as quickly. There's never been the opportunity to touch so many people so easily with so little effort as there is today. Right? One of the things I talk about is that changing the definition of billionaire from a person with $1 billion to a person that can affect 1 billion lives. And the truth is, everyone in this room can do it. It doesn't take that much anymore. All the pipes that are out there, all the connectivity that's out there, all the openness to connections are there if we want to take advantage of it. And so what I would like to do for my remaining 8.5 minutes is just to try and get people to think about this in a different way and go back to the roots of why crypto and why decentralization and why blockchain is here today. It's not about the technology, it's about you. Right? So there's two big trends that are happening today that are driving things behind, like big vibrations that are traveling through the earth. And the first one is centralization and lies. So we're all being subject 24/7 to lies, and we know this. You're not when you make a purchase, you're not getting what you bargained for. You know there's small print. You know that the information you're being given is being given to you with a filter. You know someone's trying to convince you of something, right? And so we've lost this ability to have real conversations and real dialogue because everyone's starting with the answer and not listening to the question. And so, this is affecting us in politics. Think about what's like in politics in the United States right now. This is social and how you deal and who you form your friends and who's acceptable and who's not. This is the gun argument again in the United States. This is economic and what the definition of capitalism is today in terms of the rush towards monopoly and how all the people around us are looking to find an edge and a monopolistic advantage and that's why we're having this incredible centralization of power and wealth that's really stifling us. This is happening in religion, where you're being told what to think, who you can talk to, and how it goes. It's happening in education, how we're indoctrinating people, and how this is all happening, and we're teaching people to live in silos and to close their mind because we're trying to support systems that need us to conform for them to exist and for them to go into the future. And this is what humanity now is being subject to, these conflicts of interest where you don't know who to trust and you don't know what to go forward with. And the second trend that's happening is I'll bring these together, I promise, is the digitization of everything. Right? So I formed my company, PALcapital, in 1996, 23 years ago. And I formed it because I had done emerging markets for 10 years, and I wanted to be on the bleeding edge of where capital creation and ideas were happening and apply liquidity strategies and ideas into these new markets. And when I did it, I said the core idea of the business was to focus on those businesses that were going to leverage and take advantage of the digitization of information and how that was going to change society and business. And I was leaving big investment bank. I'm a recovering investment banker. Everyone, all my friends said to me, "That's crazy. That's not a business." Okay, what do you mean? Digitization of information. Amazon's a fraud, and what are you talking about, right? Now I describe it, and everyone says to me, "What are you talking about? That's every business. That's not. It's not a definition." So the world has really gotten to the point where we're here now after 23 years, and so now everything's being digitized. And the way this has flowed over time, and I like to put into a perspective so you can understand that this isn't a revolution. This is an evolution of what's happening to us. So in the mid-90s, late 80s, the governments figured out how, with technology, how to start to digitize how computers talk to each other. They got rid of the silos. So they digitized communication. But there was nothing to talk about. This didn't matter to the common person. Then we start to digitize information. And all of a sudden, you can push clicks, and you can follow links, and you can start to have all the information opened up, and the Tower of Babel came through. And it was interesting, but okay, it's still just a toy, and most of it's porn, right? And so it was being poo-pooed. And then e-commerce came in. So all of a sudden, you have everyone's networked, everything's digitized so you can see it, and now all of a sudden I can spend. But back then the conversation was, no one's going to put their credit card on the internet. What are you, an idiot? Right? So and Amazon's never going to work because their business model doesn't make sense. They'll never have profit. So we know where those arguments have gone. Right? And the next phase where we are now, which is to put it into context, is the digitization of information and the digitization of value. So you can now interchange information and value simultaneously without friction. Okay? And really, information has become value, and value has become information. And that's the beginning, that's the revolution that we're in the middle of right now. And of course, where do our minds go? How do I make money at this? And what regulators have to get in the way to make sure it's happening right? Because we really need more patronage, to help us. And so we're kind of stuck there. And so when I look at this stuff, I think it's a shame. And I think that yes, we should make money, and yes, I'm a capitalist, or maybe I'm a Marxist, who knows. But at the end of the day, we need the opportunity to take advantage of it, and there will be security tokens. But don't get stuck on security tokens. Start to think about communities and people, okay? And how do we communicate with each other? And how do businesses communicate with each other? And start to look at historically, when methods of communication have changed, historically, they've all led to quantum logarithmic changes in the interchange of money and value globally, and into the shrinking of the world into smaller and smaller group that has better communication to do business. And then what gets in the way are the previous centralized authorities who are saying, well, wait a minute, you have to use my currency. Or wait a minute, I told you that the boundary ended over there. You owe me taxes, right? Or medicine telling you how it's done, or your school telling you how it's done. And so I want everyone to start thinking about communities, because what's really happening now is we have the unique opportunity around us to start to form communities that are not bound by what religion you are, by what country you are, by what school you went to. And we start to have the ability to form these global communities using these technologies that are coming about. So when you start, if I bring this back now to, okay, everyone thinks about investing, right? So when you start to look at investing, security tokens are just digitized stock that we've already have. They're going to have some benefits on top of that. And yes, the tokenization will have, digitization will have certain benefits that I hope we start to take advantage of. But instead, I think you need to start looking at how is this going to actually change the fabric. Like, for instance, I'm starting to look at sports teams as fans for sports teams. Those are global communities that don't pay attention to any of the predefined boundaries. So if you're a Man U fan, you're a Man U fan, and that goal Martial scored, last week, you want to talk about that forever with anyone. And so there's other communities out there that are similar, and I think you're going to start to see businesses that service those types of communities, and where you take the advantage of this new language, lingua franca, for communications and for business, which is distributed ledger, and you're going to start to see that we're going to be able to have participatory communities where the profits don't aggregate to an individual founder, but instead that you're incentivized to join the community and to behave in the best interest of everyone around you, to take benefit of the wisdom of the crowd, and to start to share the benefits with the participants who create the value, and start to change what makes value from being the technology or the company to being the reality that the real strength and power is the people. Right? And so start to look at platforms that empower those people and that incentivize people to behave correctly and to participate, because it's in their best interest and because you're touching something they do every day when they have passion.